24 startups from all over Southeast Asia have risen above hundreds of hopefuls, earning their spot on the Big Spark.
May the best pitchers be duly rewarded.
They kicked off the competition with a 2-minute quick pitch round.
Our family wins.
It's a no from all of us.
9 startups ended their journey on the Big Spark. But these 15 startups have been given the green light.
Yes, 3 yeses.
EtherIoT, AlteredVerse, ArkoPay, Bixie, Cellivate Technologies, Datality Lab, equo, Farmio, Goro, Kabel, Mula-X, PharLyfe Plus, Snap Robotics, Tenang AI, and TinyPod. They are pitching for a share of seed funding worth up to $1 million from these 8 venture capitalists. Vanessa Ho,
I'm hoping to see bright and maybe even crazy founders build and scale innovative solutions across the region.
Neeraj Tyagi, UC Salovara, Murali Ravi, Visa Khanna, Sebastian Togalang, John Sharp, and Anuj Golecha.
I'm hoping to see passionate founders build real businesses for large markets.
Good morning, startups.
Today is Masterclass Day. Our startups will receive mentorship, gearing them up for their performance in Stage 2, the in-depth pitch.
Stand nice and tall.
This is a crucial step towards success here on the Big Spark.
Good morning, startups. Good morning. I love the energy. Welcome to Masterclass Day at the Big Spark. Today, expect lots of tips and advice from various experts. Let's perfect the pitches for the in-depth pitch, which is coming right up, because only a few startups will move on to the final big pitch for a share of the $1 million in seed funding.
I'm really looking forward to this session so that I can better my pitch in round 2. I want to go as far as I can.
So seize the opportunities today and learn as much as you can. Plus, our resident judges, Roshni and Wai Mun, will be sharing some feedback with each startup one-on-one. Are you ready?
Yes, we're ready.
Let's get started.
Hey, nice to meet you, Wai Mun.
Hey guys.
Hey, hello.
Hi.
How are you
Doing
doing?
good.
Congratulations guys. Top 15. Very happy for you.
Thank you.
The purpose of today's session is really to go through some of the things that we can improve on it together. Love the problem statement that you guys are targeting.
We are Farmio, building a sustainable AI food supply chain in Asia. Many workflow is an issue. So Farmio, what we are doing is we integrate our AI solution into WhatsApp.
You are using Gen AI as your tech stack. But how are you going to defend your space?
Gotcha.
And even worse, what if Gen AI becomes your enemy? They themselves can do it, so why do we still need you?
Even though ChatGPT they come in, potentially they won't be doing financial services. So for us as a one-stop solution, not only on the AI part, but also providing financing, that would make us more unique in the market.
On the pitching day, I need you to be able to elaborate on this in a more succinct manner.
Okay.
What exactly you're selling? Would people pay for it? What's the unit economics?
Understood.
To also show us how it works.
Okay.
And I think we should do quite well from there.
Okay.
Okay?
Our team is going to revise a little bit on the whole structure in our pitch so that we hope the judges can fully understand our business model as well.
Appreciate that. See you.
I'm excited to be speaking to you. Yes. Very passionate about what you're doing.
Yeah. Introducing equo, a sustainable brand providing 100% plastic-free and compostable products starting with straws and utensils. Sustainability.
Sustainability plus direct-to-consumer, you're creating products. So it feels very natural to me because one part of my business is a D2C line. So, do you speak Vietnamese?
I do. I started learning it more fluently when I moved to Vietnam 4 years ago.
I don't think that came out when you were doing your pitch. And that is a unique proposition for you because you're based in Vietnam. What it means is that you can negotiate with the factories in local languages.
Yeah.
So that means your unit economics can get better. And so that's something I would definitely urge you to talk about yourself a little bit.
Absolutely, that makes sense.
You need to talk a little bit more about your financials, how you've seen the growth since you've started, but also how you anticipate it to grow in the next 2 to 3 years. Typical D2C companies like yours should be aiming for a margin of at least around 60 to 70%.
Okay.
So you want to talk about how you're going to try to get there.
Absolutely. So with all the feedback from Roshni, I am changing my entire presentation, give them some really solid financials and numbers, and show them we have scalability. I'm going to try to do my best.
Hello, everybody. My name is Bong. This is Nicole.
Hello.
That's Marcus and Vinette. At Google, we are very fortunate to be able to work with startups, quite often. And today we'll be talking about design sprints. So what exactly is a design sprint? Basically, it's a shortcut to learning about building and launching. As startups, we want to be able to validate an idea without having to put too much investment into it upfront. So very quickly, test it out and then see if it actually works. So it's a 5-phase framework. Understand, sketch, decide, prototype, and validate. So right now, we're going to start the hands-on activity. Nicole is going to lead this segment.
So, first thing we're going to do is in the understand phase, the goal is for you to identify kind of something within your own business that is a challenge that you want to be able to solve and to think about your user's journey. Map out their entire day, not what are the challenges that they're trying to address on a day-to-day basis. And through the how might we exercise, basically on your Post-its, just scribble down how might we solve this problem. Our goal today is to help the startups understand how to apply the 5 steps of the design sprint methodology to identify a problem that they are experiencing in their startup, to find a solution to it, and to be able to test it in a very quick and dirty way. They have the opportunity to test it out a little bit, to go through the first 2 phases of the design sprint, to get to a point where they have identified a solution that they want to work on.
So the problem that we are solving today is that we want to help students to look for a job ASAP and employers to just look for their talents ASAP. So based on the discussion with my dear team members over here, they like the idea of the swipe, match, and chat because all they need to do is just 3 simple steps. The talk from Google was great. I think that the whole cycle of actually doing that practice of that sprint was super useful for us. And so it served as a very good reminder on our journey as an entrepreneur.
Hi, good morning, Roshni.
Good morning, Edwin. How are you? Please have a seat.
So congratulations on making it to the top 15.
Thank you. We are a job matching platform that helps employers to match with unique student talent the moment that they post up the job. All they need to do is post their profile, swipe, match, and chat. It's as easy as that.
From a recruiter standpoint, I love how your product is able to help simplify the whole process. As you scale to a much bigger company, there's going to be issues on sexism, racism.
I agree with that. I failed to highlight something else, that it's not by image or photo, but it's on real skills that this candidate's been recommended. And both sides have to show photos.
Really? Even from a recruiter standpoint?
Yes, correct. Well, if you're an employer, you have to show your photo as well.
Not sure how much you want to use Tinder as a reference in your pitch, because when that's typically used for social purpose. Show us what you have built and then impress us.
Okay.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you
and good luck, okay?
Second round.
Fantastic. I remember your presentation very, very clearly, both with your energy, your hat, and your son.
Oh, that's the strategy.
Hello.
Hi, Dominic.
Hello.
Excited to see Daddy here as well, presenting.
Moody.ai is a SaaS communication and presentation training platform that harnesses AI technologies, AI composites, decision models, as well as applied psychologies.
What we really loved about your business was that it's scalable, and that's exactly what VCs are looking for. However, you have to market really quickly, because if you don't get market penetration fast, your moat isn't as strong as one would have liked.
Yep.
So another competitor could come in and take over this dominant position you have right now. The other thing that we had was that you were focusing on so many countries.
Yeah.
So it's hard to be anything to anyone if you're spreading yourself across 5 countries. If you had to focus on just one market, which market would you actually choose?
Have to be Vietnam. It's a much bigger market that people there are hunger for educations, for learnings.
It's an excellent choice. I'm looking forward to hearing your next pitch and
you.
seeing some of these things incorporated into it.
Thank you, thanks. This is a very, very good session because it gives me a very focused view on where I should be expanding in Southeast Asia, as well as realistic financial projections.
Coming up, our startups will be given tips on financials, product market fit, and we'll hear a first-hand account of startup success against all odds.
There's an abundance of capital still available, but founders and startups need to be very focused, very clean on their vision, their business model.
But the key challenge is actually finding good ideas and good people.
You need to build your network, meet with the right community, and there'll be opportunities out there.
There are still money available today, and especially so for those startups and companies with very good ideas and are scalable.
All investors are looking for in founders are folks who actually have a real problem to solve, are focused on the right metrics, not just revenue generation, but a path to profitability.
Now people are looking to deploy less cash to a smaller team and getting that team to show both product market fit as well as unit economics. And then once they're at that point, you can scale in a sustainable way.
It's Masterclass Day on the Big Spark. Our 15 remaining startups are being mentored by various experts to improve their presentations for Stage 2, the in-depth pitch, and hopefully beyond.
That's a nice belly hole. Welcome to Building Big with UOB. I'm going to share with you how you can help build big for yourself. We were established in 1935 as a small bank to take care of the merchant community in Singapore. Today, we are a top world bank with more than 500 offices worldwide. Our vision was to build the future of ASEAN. We truly are an entrepreneurial bank. We have products and services to help SMEs all the way from the startup phase to when they are a mature business, supporting entrepreneurs like yourself to build big. Building big means these startups succeeding in their plans. To do that, there are 3 key parameters. Number 1, build their finances to form the base of everything that they need to do going forward. Number 2, they need to grow their connections. And last but not least, they need to scale their business operations with the help of digitalization. So in conclusion, please always go back to what is it that you are trying to deliver for the long term. Good luck for your ambition, for your dreams to build big as well. Thank you.
I didn't realize that UOB provides facilities that startups need on their day-to-day running. That seems to be a very good initiative from UOB, especially for small companies like us.
Hi, Roshni. Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
Please sit.
Yeah.
We designed Tenang as a prevention as a service. 70% of Gen Z and millennials have a low to medium daily stress, but they find it really difficult to seek help. But with Tenang, we can make it accessible 24/7.
I don't really see the barrier to entry because you're building off an open source.
So for me, it's going to be a no.
Yeah. Thank you.
On my end, it's a yes. We're going to bring you to the next round of deliberation.
Wow, thank you so much.
You guys were nearly eliminated. You know, it's a tough choice. My co-judges, some of them were a little bit more cautious about you being built on GPT-4.
Yeah.
But I would say ignore all of that. Because what's really important is for you to show traction first.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are people actually going to use your product?
So for the first 3 months since our AI launch, we got almost 15,000 of users, but then we moved to paid customers. It's kind of dropped up to 60%.
How much revenue have you made so far?
For the last 1.5 years, it's about 3,000-ish total.
It's impossible to even take a salary for yourselves.
Yeah.
At some point, you're going to say this doesn't make sense anymore.
Yeah.
15,000 users, good start, but it's still a drop in the ocean. Indonesia is 270 million people. So let's get as much publicity, let's make it free of charge. And then we switch on monetization.
Okay. Overall, I feel very helpful and insightful out of this session. On the next presentation, we're going to give her more understanding on the market and the user's perspective. We're going to ensure that we're able to make their investment 10x in the next 3 years.
Sure,
Definitely.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Roshni.
So congratulations to making onto the top 15 list. You were a little bit too nervous in your presentation.
At FarLyfe Plus, we have come up with, at FarLyfe Plus, we have developed and patented breakthrough medicated oral films to eliminate the pains of medicine taking.
We are all just here to listen to your idea, be as natural as possible. Know that you are the technical expert in this. We all feel that the product is potentially very applicable across the whole healthcare space. For now, to increase your chance of success, you might want to acquire the help of someone who is more commercial, to go out there into the market, to find out who are your competitors potentially, what they are doing, how do you price your product.
Yeah, agree.
I would say that a couple of things to keep in mind. Your next presentation is 10 minutes long, so you do have time to do a demo for us.
Our big spark is Bixie, an award-winning app to ignite the world's largest untapped market in finance to invest. Today, we're asking for $500,000 Sing for 10% of our company.
I think if you'd shown us the product, the actual app, we would have got a much better sense of what it can do.
As of now, have you guys monetized it yet?
Yes.
And how much are you making at the moment?
So we've monetized to 100,000 US on the 3 revenue streams. So that's SaaS, referral fees, and subscription.
So it'd be really good for you to put your financials on one slide and user growth for the next 3 to 5 years.
Okay.
And then what do you anticipate the revenue growth to be?
I'm feeling really good about receiving feedback. I know that we have worked extremely hard to earn our spot on the Big Spark, but that we have a lot more to grow.
There's straws and utensils.
It's a fact that public speaking is a crucial skill for startup founders to sell their ideas. And we have just the expert to help with this. Program Director at MediaCorp, Maggie Lim.
Now, ladies, I saw the pitch. How do you think you did?
I think I was really too nervous, so I lost the words and then I froze for a while.
I totally understand. It can get a bit overwhelming, right? Now, I also noticed something very interesting about the partnership. You were doing all of the talking, and you were doing all of the points. So when you do the second pitch, one person is doing the talking and the other person isn't doing the talking. Wouldn't it then be a question that they have in their minds, then what is the role of this other person? Okay? I have to say the confidence is really there. I like the story that you told. This really is something that's very dear to your hearts because you want to help women all over. Vil, if you forget something, it's all right. Smile it off. Sorry, let me start again. They'll be forgiving and they'll smile at you. I have to say this, Andre, wow, I was ready to reach over and give you money just so you could start this.
Yeah.
You were literally bouncing off the wall. Salma, maybe because of the field of work that you're in, you need to be very calm. I can't expect you to be also excited when you're talking to your patients, right? But when you put the two of you together, there was a very unbalanced sort of like energy going on. What we're going to be covering today is something called effective presentation. We're going to cover, first of all, what we call the 4 Ps. First P is pace. Think of pace kind of like speed, right? So Salma, when you spoke, you were slow. If it's too slow, then there's a danger that they may nod off. Your pace, Andre, was a little bit faster. So the danger of having a pace that is too fast is that you may lose them. So for you, Salma, we need to bring your pace up a little bit more. And Andre, for you, we may need to temper it a little bit down so that you match. Because remember, the two of you are going in and you're doing the pitch together, okay? Pause is very powerful in delivering a message through. This is a wonderful solution to people who don't like to take medicines, who don't like to have injections. You notice how I put deliberate pause. We call that dramatic pause. It's almost as though they are thinking along with you. The pitch is how you deliver it to them. You want to have a pitch that is a little bit lower. You don't want to be overly excited because this is a pitch to get people to part with money for a cause that helps women. There needs to be that emphatic tone to it. You're trying to drive home that sense of urgency. A low, determined tone exudes or communicates that seriousness. Next is the power in your voice. You have a lovely voice, but it's very soft because you're very nervous. So ladies, I'd like you to stand up. We're gonna do a little bit of an exercise. So you know where your diaphragm is, right? Now, most of the time when we do our talking from our throats. And that's why we sound thin when we employ the diaphragm to talk. I can now still talk louder and louder and louder, but my voice has not cracked. I want you to do ho 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 as you normally would. Let's start with you. Ho ho ho. Okay, breathe in and do ho ho ho. Ho ho ho. Very good. Ha ha ha. The first ha came from here. Yeah. The next 2 ha's came from here, and you heard it was really loud.
Ho ho ho.
Okay. You want the power to come from here.
Ho ho ho.
Oh, that's a nice belly ho ho ho. One more time.
Ho ho ho. It's fun, right?
Does it help?
Yeah, it's helped because we can release the very big and precise energy to the investors.
We're definitely going to apply and do that in the next presentation because we're going to make the judges more in love with us.
I want to focus a little bit about the non-verbal, which I saw a lot of going on. Very nervous. Even right now, I can see that your hands you're sort of like clasping them for dear life. Relax. When you are doing a presentation, let your body stand nice and tall, your shoulders back, and you're asking for how much again? $500,000. You need to show them you're confident. Smile with your eyes. When you smile at them, they can't help but smile back.
I feel that we are really, really lucky to have this one-on-one session with Maggie because I really did quite badly for the pitch and I really needed it.
Gestures are also quite important. It was great, you were gesturing, but at some point it looked as though you were clapping. Now, when we use gestures and movements, it is to direct whoever you're speaking to either data that you want them to see, or maybe ask them, think about this. But be careful not to swing it all over the place or they'll get dizzy.
Love Maggie. Maggie was fantastic because we really believe in the mission of what we're trying to do. But we know that how we're conveying that is absolutely not perfect.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. So yeah, I think we're going to take her advice going forward in our next pitch.
Hi, I'm Ricky Kapoor. I'm the head of Asia Pacific at Zoom. So Zoom is an all-in-one intelligent collaboration platform that makes connecting easier, more dynamic and immersive for businesses and individuals. It wasn't more than 10 years ago that Zoom itself was a startup, and many would say that we made an indelible impact in people's lives. I would always recommend to startup founders and the team, focus on the business problem you're trying to solve. Focus on the go-to-market that you need to build in order to reach that audience that you're trying to reach. Listen, learn, adapt. And, the exit strategy will present itself at the right time.
Welcome back to Masterclass Day on the Big Spark.
We truly are an entrepreneurial bank.
Our 15 remaining startups are getting top-notch help from the experts as they prepare for stage 2, the in-depth pitch.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Xiao Hong. I'm the Center Director of Hatch. Hatch is an innovation hub for public safety and security. We attract, we identify, we curate, and we accelerate startups from all sectors. We're looking at companies with a great technology from whichever country that you might be from. We seek to accelerate your technology for a use case for public safety. So we see hundreds of startups each year from all over the world, from all sectors, industry. Now, I'm telling you all this because it's really related to what we're going to share with you today for product market fit, about understanding your customer. One key advice we tend to give, make sure that your product is something in which they actually want, they actually need, and that they actually would want to come back to you over and over again because your product fits them. Product market fit is key. At the end of the day, the entrepreneur is intended to solve a problem. And creating a business creates an economic, viable way to sustain the solution to that problem. So you need to listen to your end customers. You need to be there early and often. And you need to understand your technology at its core, your team in the middle, and the product which the end users or the customers who interface with, it has to match. So I hope you all got something away from today's session and learned something for your startup. Thank you very much.
The Hatch session was really cool to kind of really understand what the core of your business is. So I think this is definitely making me rethink my pitch and trying to use that in the next round.
Hello, hi.
Hi, Lynn. How are you doing?
Hi, Alvin.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for taking the time to meet us.
I love what you guys are trying to do. You're trying to transform your dad's business.
What AlteredVerse does is transform these points into realistic and precise digital worlds. Our ability to combine the technical precision of geospatial mapping with the technology and creativity of the gaming world.
If you want your business to be a VC investable business, the first thing you need is to really clearly define what your product is. Today it's still service, and being able to have that one product and keep repeating it over and over, because then it becomes really scalable. I was just thinking, potentially, your vision of an end product could be building the digital twin for all the prime retail district in the world. And I think from there, it should be a good way to take it forward.
Yeah,
once you've thought about what
to get more from you. So Lynn, across the board, we all liked you, so that's great.
Mula-X has built a financial services digital platform focused on enabling the underserved to gain fair access to finance.
So what valuation were you looking for?
I was looking for 10 million, and obviously with $1 million cash prize or whatever potential investment, so 10% of the company.
And in terms of revenue, what are you doing?
The revenue traction is very, very low, to be honest, just because we just started in June.
Yeah.
I think it would be about $500,000 to $1 million or so for 2024, and my burn rate is about $60,000, $65,000 a month.
Okay. So when I look at the kind of revenue that you're aspiring for next year, and then asking for 10 million valuation, there's a big gap.
Yes.
So in typical loan book / fintech type business, your revenue multiple is about 3x of revenue.
Is that it?
Yeah, that is it.
Wow.
See, what could you do to ramp up the revenue? If I get $1 million in investment, this is how much revenue I think I can make. Because I'll have more users, I'll have more offerings. If you don't want to look at valuation based on revenue, because your revenue is small, then it would be based on ownership. Usually at the first stage of institutional investment, they want to have somewhere around close to 20% stake in a business.
I got it. Right. Okay. We need revenue in order to get some credibility in terms of what we do. We need to find a way to be able to get the points across on why we are where we are and why we're asking for what we're asking for. Best of luck.
Thanks a lot, Roshni.
See you soon.
All right, thank you. Bye-bye.
I've seen your product, went to your website. I think it's nice. It's very simple. Great user experience.
We allow anyone to invest into high-yielding Indonesian property from just $1. And we do this in 4 simple steps. Users browse the available properties on our marketplace, select the property they wish to invest in, and then they sit back and watch the monthly returns come in.
Now, scalability. That's always an issue in your space, I think. Very often, companies would be able to achieve very good, quick success at the start. But you are in the business of sourcing for equivalent, if not better, property at even better commercial terms. How do you repeat that success?
The beauty of our model is where we work with property developers. The larger we get, the more volume we need to buy from them, the better terms we will get, which then translates into better returns for our users.
Great.
We're currently delivering around 12% net rental yield back to our users. But by talking to our users, we actually learned that they're looking for at least 7 or 8% net per year. So we have an additional 5% wiggle room on the returns.
Good. I'm very happy that you have thought about all this. We need to proactively answer the question on how you can scale up your business. To be able to succinctly address that issue, I think it should be fine from now on.
Great. Really appreciate the feedback.
One of the most common setbacks in a presentation is that people struggle to structure their pitch decks.
TinyPod.
Hi.
Nice to meet you.
But here to help with that is HighSpark's Eugene Cheng.
When we look at structuring pitches, right, I don't want you to focus on what is the slide meant to be about. Rather, focus on what's the question that we need to answer. Right. So VCs will have some key questions. The questions are always related to how they'll make more money, but in different forms. So there are a few areas I usually tell people to focus on. The first one is why this is relevant. What's the shift that makes it relevant today? So in your case, what I found that I couldn't really get into was you're tackling a big market, right? Thailand, you're doing earned wage access, you're doing a number of things. What is the cultural shift? What are some key things that are happening that is making this relevant?
So essentially, this salary on demand product has never really been offered in Thailand before.
Okay.
So how we've differentiated ourselves is that we've actually created a wallet. Now that's a really big shift, which is something that we're trying to tackle.
Now, the reason I'm asking about that is because a lot of times when VCs cannot justify your valuation, it's because they don't buy into the problem.
Right.
So we want to give them more assurance that we know for sure. Apart from your own traction, we're seeing certain shifts in the country, certain things that they're doing differently that implies that they're looking for a solution like this. The second part to it is how do we sell that adoption is inevitable, right? And that's the bit I think that was missing, because if you can prove that there's a cultural shift towards more Indonesians wanting to invest, then that's how I would lead into it. In your pitch, you said less than 5% of Indonesia's population invests. The good thing is, of course, then you have untapped market. The bad thing is, what if they never invest, ever? You have a few stats that show growth in adoption of investments. I think this is a really good slide, and I think you should move it up earlier. Why? Because it shows cultural shifts in the market.
Yeah.
So obviously, crypto is it's the Wild West. I think it's fair to say, if they are willing to take that much risk, they would be willing to take much less risk for very decent returns on property, right? Yep. So I think that's something I would definitely shift up. Then the next part is more about why this moment, right? Why are we quite confident?
I think the common reply is that we're too early.
Yes, correct. We break it down. What does early mean? Early means people are not ready to buy right now. But what you told me was that you already have a sale.
Correct.
Right? So assuming that this is an objection that you get very regularly, that means the way that you build out your pitch needs to have that segment that talks about why people are ready today. Are there certain key factors, secular trends that are happening that imply that malls and your target customers have no choice but to eventually move towards a solution like that? Once they buy into that argument, they instantly buy into your solution. You get it?
Yes.
You're setting the stage for them to understand why this is required.
I think there definitely is a bit of rethinking on our part. to really think about our business plan and our market and the vertical that we want to service and craft out a better plan. Yeah.
If the founder team is not strong enough, and a lot of them have great ideas, but that are unfortunately not executable.
A lot of founders are so stuck and stubborn with their solution that they forget that this may not be the best way to solve the problem that they initially sought out to do.
I think one of the most common barriers, and when we typically say no, it's because the right team is not building for the right problem.
If you have an outstanding team, that's always investable. And most investors know that if you don't get the first idea right, maybe you get the second idea right. And so the team is obviously the most important thing.
Lack of clarity of the founding team. They may be like sitting on a great idea, but if we see that there is lack of clarity of vision or execution, if there is slightest doubt, it's a no from the investors.
The most common barrier to investing right now is businesses that require a lot of capital.
If I don't believe that this person can actually deliver.
Inability of founders to sell their vision. They may be very good executors, but if they are not able to sell their story, they are not able to attract right investment.
It's the last session for Masterclass Day on the Big Spark. These startups are meeting the resident judges for a cozy one-on-one mentoring session.
The good news is all of us judges liked your company. We liked your presentation.
Oh, that's awesome. Glad to hear. Yeah. Hello, everyone. We're from ArkoPay, a one-stop financial solution for small and medium-sized construction businesses.
I do have some questions about your business. Where are you getting your capital and what's your cost of capital?
We're getting the capital from peer-to-peer and multi-finance. So it ranges between 1.25 to 1.75 for the cost of fund.
How much are you loaning it out at?
About 2 to 4%.
Okay. And what happens when it comes to non-performing loans?
For the NPL itself, we have the collection policy strategy. So before the due date, we will have a reminder. If 7 days before the due date, I know the customer has no money to pay, then we will offer some like prolong or restructuring.
So currently, out of your 20 plans, how many NPLs do you have?
None.
So add that into your presentation, because that's great.
Okay.
But usually as an investor, one of the biggest concerns I would have is about non-performing loans. So if you answer my question before I ask the question, that's going to be great. Okay, well, that's great.
So Greg and I, we're building AetherIoT. We're focused on indoor real-time tracking. So essentially using smart sensors to detect the real-time location and condition of assets for large enterprises.
I understand what you're trying to do is to build a unified platform to provide that one single connection to the back end of a company, as well as multiple IoT devices. Now, we need to really think about what's the product here, because if you are a pure service company, the revenue is very lumpy, not that predictable, and also it's not that scalable. I'm not sure how investable that is from a VC standpoint. If it's a product, you can scale quickly from there because it's repeatable. I think that's something that can be more clearly defined in the pitch that we're going to have.
So I think we agreed with his feedback because we are building a product company.
I can't wait to deep dive further into our business and impress the judges in phase 2.
Thank you. I appreciate Thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it.
I'm excited actually to hear from you how I should, improve my business. To create the world's largest sustainable co-living TinyPods, LTA has agreed to donate these trains to me. It is a co-living concept, so a lot of living is outdoors because the rooms are really tiny.
Is your business just a novelty, or is it actually something that can scale out of Singapore?
I think it's both. Tiny house living started to become a trend many years ago in the US. It's also extended it to hotels as well as co-living, and that's where we come in.
So one of the first slides I would add in is a slide about your gross margins. If we look at other co-living operators, it's 15 to 30%. So at 60%, it's fantastic. And I think you need to lead with that because that becomes a hook where I go, oh my gosh, what is this guy doing?
I hope that people do think my business is a novelty because it is a fresh take on how co-living hospitality should be like. Apart from it, there's also a scope for growth for this business. So I'm excited.
Startups, I'm sure you all know that owning and running a business comes with failures and disappointments. But those who persevere can turn setbacks into successes. Rhonda Wong is from Ohmyhome, and today she's here to share her personal experience with us.
Thank you. Very lovely to be here. We started Ohmyhome in 2016 and we got listed in March 2023. We're the first woman-founded prop tech company to be listed in America. But the story behind really started from growing up. My sister, my co-founder, Race, and myself, we are migrants from Malaysia into Singapore. Growing up here, we moved homes over 20 times. So we really understand the hopes and the disappointments when it comes to home moving. So when we started Ohmyhome, we wanted a one-stop shop so that anyone and everyone can have the best service. We started with an app. We allowed customers to be able to DIY and sell their homes. We provide all the knowledge, the steps, to selling your home. And we were the first in the country. We have done over 14,500 transactions thus far. But of course, it didn't come easy. I remember when we had to first fundraise, I knew nothing about asking for money. Over time, then I realized the big mistake that I was making was that I didn't tell them what will happen to their money, that they'll be making money from investing from us. Yes, ma'am.
My name is Rosalia. I'm from Bixie. Thank you so much. You shared your story in the beginning, and everyone's like, wow, that's amazing, how inspiring. But then how do you immediately switch into, and this is how it's going to make you money?
Okay, how do we assess, right? Story versus money making. You have to read your audience over time. When I'm telling my story and they're looking bored, okay, move on. Move on about, okay, when you give me your money, okay, this is what's gonna happen. This is how I'm building my business. In the next 3 years, we're gonna tenfold. And give numbers. If you're very clear in this, they can then see you're right. I can actually make money from you. But if you just say, like, give me money, we will grow. No one's gonna believe because you didn't even make the calculations.
I was very inspired by her, and it's actually an encouragement for us women to just never give up, whatever happens.
We have all seen the prototype, looking very good.
So we are here, Snap Robotics, introducing the world's most economical robotic hand. This robotic hand is versatile because it is made from soft materials. So the soft materials allows it to conform to the object size and also change its modality depending on the task.
So I think your presentation can afford to be less technical, cover a slightly more commercial. How do you intend to charge your customer is also something that's very important for you in the long run.
True.
Do you want to sell the hand, or do you want to lease the hand? And then from there, you can have a longer term, more predictable revenue as compared to a revenue stream that is very lumpy. So that business model could also be something that can be differentiated from what the others are doing in the market.
True. I agree.
How are you doing?
Doing good. It's been a very interesting experience. Right. So our goal at Cellivate is to enable the reduction of animal husbandry. Fundamentally, animals are made of cells. So it is possible to use these cells to replace a lot of the products that would otherwise come from animals.
One of the feedback that came from us on the judging panel, which was about hiring of commercial people and finance people.
Commercial people are expensive. Until we do our fundraise, we can't really afford them. That's really the issue I'm facing. So before the funding camp, how can I attract such talent?
Do you have anything kept aside for employee stock options?
Yes, we have put aside 15%.
And do you think that you could go back to the investors and try to negotiate keeping 20% for employee stock options?
Yeah, I'm very sure I can.
So I think that it's very critical that you treat this as a sales process as well to commercial people and finance people on why they should come and work for you for almost nothing, but for the opportunity of potentially doing something that could be so disruptive and become multi-millionaires once your stock option goes through the roof. Then you can focus on what you're good at, which is really the R&D and the product itself.
I really appreciate the insights you're bringing.
Oh, thank you.
Startups, I trust you've had a fruitful day. Well, it's time to step things up. Between 4 to 8 startups will get a chance to meet the VCs at the final stage for the big pitch.
I've already planned how I would use the investment that comes through this. Winning the competition is what I want.
I'll see you all again soon at the in-depth pitch.
I want to go all the way. I want to get in front of those investors.
It's going to be really tough for me to be able to make it to the final round, but I'm up for it.
Next time on The Big Spark, it's stage 2, the in-depth pitch.
We present our medicated oral flow.
This is a new way of shopping.
Farmio is here with an answer. Let us handle the manual hair pulling process.
Let's see which startups have elevated their game enough to earn a spot in the final big pitch.
What are you patenting?
What is a revenue stream?
What happens if you don't get funding?
That's a really good question.